Seth Engle with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette here, reporting live from Beaver Stadium, where Penn State just fell to Michigan 24-15 in a game that was really drew more headlines about kind of the external stuff rather than the actual plays or actual game day preparation. This was a game that we didn't know who was going to be coaching for Michigan, if Jim Harbaugh was going to be on the sidelines or not. The Big Ten had announced a suspension for him yesterday on Friday that would leave him suspended for the rest of the regular season. He tried to get a restraining order, but it was too soon to kick off, and they weren't able to see it through. So Jim Harbaugh was not here. We don't know where he is, if he's still at the team hotel, but it was Sherrone Moore handling the head coaching duties for Michigan today, and it was enough to overpower Penn State, which again, as it's been for most of the season, struggled offensively. It was a great defensive game. They held one of the nation's top scoring offenses to 24 points, which was a season low for Michigan. There were times that Penn State, allowed some explosive plays on the ground, but for the most part, I think they did a pretty good job at setting up the offense. Unfortunately for them, Drew Allar and that wide receiver core returned to being out of sync. We saw at Maryland, there were, I'm gonna let this thing go by. We saw at Maryland that there were, maybe some instances of explosiveness that we hadn't seen previously from Allar connecting with receivers, specifically Dante Cephas from Penn Hills, for you Pittsburgh locals. But, Cephas, was open today at times, and, Drew wasn't necessarily finding him there. And then there were other times where, Drew had opportunities with receivers. He was throwing it behind him, and it wasn't a great day for him. But, James Franklin, he did take the blame post-game. He said that he's not creating, or at least the play callers aren't creating enough opportunity for Allar to find a rhythm, which was pretty interesting to hear. Drew said that's not the case, taking blame himself, saying he wasn't good enough. Overall, though, it seemed like both of those were kind of a problem. It was a mix of play calling wasn't great, especially on third down. I believe they only, converted 4 third downs, which was, another problem against Ohio State. And Drew just not really being able to take over a game, take over an offense. Katron Allen was relatively impressive on the ground, and, Drew was too, but it wasn't enough, especially considering one of his rushes was a fumble that Michigan then took over and scored on. So that's, basically how the game went today. Jim Harbaugh, not sure what he's going to be like for Maryland next week. But, Penn State's going to be back here against Rutgers on Saturday. This is a team that, is likely out of the playoffs now. I mean, there's never been a 2-loss team in the playoffs before. Don't see that changing anytime soon in the 4-team format. So this is going to be a big week for Penn State to, regroup and talk over how they can improve before facing, a pretty improved Scarlet Knights team, which is 6-3 right now. It's their best start to a season since, I believe, 2014. So that's a competitive team, and if Penn State wants to win out and potentially go back to a New Year's Six Bowl, there's going to be some areas they need to improve on. So that's Seth Engle, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, signing off from Beaver Stadium.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.